Good morning. My name is Chryss, and I am the president of Desert Elite Referral Partners right here in the beautiful Coachella Valley, Southern California. And I come to you with a heavy heart today. You know, all the phone calls and emails that I've been getting, small businesses that are scared senseless, that are filled with anxiety, because the first round of stimulus in the SBA PPP program is funded out. It's maxed. And new funding, a new round of stimulus is being held up in Congress. Folks, do you have any idea how much fat, how much pork, how much pet projects are in these packages? It's not just that they're passing just the stimulus. They're passing a whole bunch of other things that they are shoving in there because they know that the other side of the aisle needs this passed, or this person needs this passed, or this group needs this passed, so they could shove their pet projects in there. Let me tell you the fat that was in the first round of the stimulus that just ran out. $10 billion in international development, $350 million for refugee resettlement, $93 million for Congress, 25 million of which is earmarked for their salaries and expenses. $75 million for PBS Public Radio and Television, $75 million for the National Foundation of the Arts, $75 million for the National Endowment for Humanities, $75 million for the, $50 million for the Institute of Museum and Library Studies, $25 million for the Kennedy Center of Performing Arts, and finally, a measly $7.5 million for the Smithsonian Institute. $750 million. $750 billion, $750 billion that could be going to small businesses right now, rather than waiting for Congress to put away the pacifiers and get along long enough to help the American people. Folks, do you realize the real reason why we have a lot of these politicians parked up in Washington, D.C. for decade after decade? Understand, a lot of them made more money in the private sector, and they will again once they're out of office. They'll make more in the private sector. Yes, there's a lot of good politicians that get into this for the right reasons, because they feel they can make a difference, because they feel they can be a voice for the American people. But once you get up to the higher echelons of elected office, you do realize that they're not doing it for the money. It's the power. It's the influence. So that's how we hold them accountable, folks. Understand, all these lobby groups in Washington, D.C., they're nowhere near the biggest lobbying group in the country, and that's the American people. So you need to start lobbying with your local politicians, your congressmen, your senators, and let them know how you feel and your opinion and your stance. Here's how we hold them accountable. You make them hear your voice. You make them vote your conscience. And here's a little secret for you. I'm going to speak directly to the politicians in Washington. Shh. Little secret. This is how I guarantee you can get reelected. Because that's what it's really all about, right? Reelection, power. Here's how you guarantee reelection. Do the right thing, even if you're doing it for the wrong reasons. The right thing is to get rid of all this pork, to put that money in the hands of small businesses that don't know how they're going to make their next payroll, that don't know once the restaurant opens again how they're going to fill that freezer, that walk-in with food to serve people. That's how you help the American people. Instead of putting just a hold on mortgage payments and car payments for 90 days, and then expecting in 3 months for that person to come up with 4 months of mortgage payments. How are they going to do that when they're out of work? How? Why don't put it on the back of the loans? When you do that, when you expect people to pay 4 months of payments all in one lump sum when they've been out of work for 90 days, the only ones you're making whole are the financial institutions on day 120. The financial institutions are the only ones made whole. We can hold our politicians accountable. We can't afford to get this one wrong. Let's band together. Let's write letters. Let's invite our congressmen and our senators to see our businesses when we're back up again. See the struggles, feel the pain. But unless we're writing those letters and making those phone calls and making that effort, who are we to complain about the votes that they're making or the pet projects that they're funding? We got to stop being armchair quarterbacks and get in the game.